Hey folks. Well, this is going to be the final reveal of the 1/32 scale Wingnut Wings Sopwith Snipe. I still have to mask off the prop around where I applied the wood grain in the center section, but since I did that with oil paint last night, I'm going to wait a few days before I mask it to even out the gray trim on the ends of the prop. Otherwise, the plane is done. And I've learned a lot from this process, that's for sure. Easy Line, which I've whinged and complained about, remains as wiggly and squiggly as ever, but I have learned how to use it, and one of the keys is to have good CA glue and to apply it judiciously. So I did learn something and found two great brands, well, types of CA glue, and there are many, many out there. One is Star Bond Medium, the other is BSI, Bob Smith Industries, Gap Filling Medium. I used both of them and was markedly successful, more successful than when I was using the old stuff. I did use SBS flat rigging wire for the braces on the tailplane. I really like that a lot. I used a slightly narrower gauge or width, 0.20 millimeters, and that I used in the back there. I am going to use SBS flat rigging wire when I do the SE5A, whenever that may be. So overall, I'm really pleased. I also learned, should have known and remembered that cartograph decals, especially if they're really long, because they're so thin, can be a bit dangerous or precarious when you're trying to apply them to the side or in a tight spot, even though I had most of the side of the fuselage open. But I managed to save it, so don't feel so bad about that. I do want to learn how to paint top sides of wings better, a little more subtly for the effects of the stresses and the showing of the rib highlights. I've got plenty of guides to look at for that. And I did learn that you've got to tuck the roundels in into the sides before you put the ailerons on. Okay, I've whinged and complained about all of that stuff, but yeah, I'm happy. Wingnut Wings makes great kits, and I'm happy to add this to the collection. Billy Barker there in the front has been waiting a long time for his plane, and perhaps is wondering why there's a doppelganger of him also sitting in the cockpit. But heck, I like to have pilots in my planes. The beautiful resin figure came with the kit and was sculpted by Mike Good for Wingnut Wings. Mike is also the sculptor of a lot of the pilot figures that are sold by Model Seller, of which I have many. So let's talk a little bit about Major Barker and his Sopwith Snipe. William George Barker was born in Manitoba, Canada, and he joined the Canadian Mounted Rifles in December of 1914. He served in the trenches as a machine gunner until March of 1916, when he transferred to the Royal Flying Corps. Served as an observer in 9, 4, and then 15 squadrons before being posted for flight training in November 1916. He was with 15 Squadron in February 1917 until he was wounded in early August 1917, and then he was posted to the UK as a flight instructor. He wasn't happy about that at all and was eventually posted to 28th Squadron as a flight commander and back in France in time to be credited with his first 3 victories in October 1917. The following month, 28th Squadron was sent to Italy, and it was there he was credited with 43 more victories in 3 different squadrons before he returned again to the UK in September 1918 to command the School of Air Fighting. Again, he found this unfulfilling, and he managed to wheedle his way back to the front in October 1918 with his brand new Sopwith 7F1 Snipe, serial number E8102, on a, quote, refresher course, unquote, with 201st Squadron. Having flown several patrols but seen no action, he received orders on the 26th of October to return his Snipe to the depot at San Omar and report back to London. The next morning, instead of flying to San Omar, Barker took his Snipe up for one last patrol, in which he shot down a two-seater before being jumped by at least 15 Fokker D-7s. In the ensuing battle, Barker was wounded. He fainted. He regained consciousness. He was wounded again, and he managed to shoot down at least 3 of the Fokkers before crash landing behind Allied lines. His wounds were so severe that he was hospitalized for over 4 months. For this action, carried out in full sight of many witnesses, Barker was awarded the Victoria Cross, which he was able to receive from King George V on the 1st of March 1919 at Buckingham Palace. He left the RAF in 1919 and returned to Canada, where he was involved in commercial aviation, tobacco business, before being killed in a flying accident in March 1930. I believe I read somewhere that he was Canada's most decorated war hero, and he was certainly in good company with other notable Canadian aces who flew for the RFC or the RNAS during the Great War, notably, to name 2 others, Billy Bishop and Raymond Collishaw. So there he is. There's the Snipe on the shelf. A couple days from now, I'll take that prop off and mask it off and give it the final touches. But this is the last video of the infamous Sopwith Snipe. I have learned a few things, which I hope will put me in good stead when I take out my Everest kit, the SE5A, and start work on that. Thanks so much for watching, folks. Appreciate it. And I appreciate all the comments that I've received on these various videos. Bye for now.